I have some good news, and it's all thanks to you, the people of the internet, because it was your influence that actually made car makers bring back the physical dials and rotary buttons back onto the cars. Volkswagen heard our constructive feedback and brought back this, a multifunctional physical rotary dial on the center console. But I'd like to know what you think about this multifunctional rotary dial when I ask, is this a missed opportunity? What I mean by that is, yes, this is a multifunctional rotary dial, which means it can control the volume controls, superb. If you press it down, it can also control the drive modes of the car, and it gets a touchscreen on top of this dial, which means if you swivel through it, you can also control something that what Volkswagen calls atmospheres, which basically decides what kind of mood your cabin will have. But could this have also had a quick access controls to the climate controls, which currently sits on the bottom half of the infotainment screen as a touch sensitive slider? So, is this a missed opportunity? Let me know in the comments and keep watching, as this is the 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan R-Line, an all-new car sitting atop an improved platform with all new looks and, most importantly, an entirely overhauled cabin. But is it the best family car to buy for someone who's looking for a premium experience? I'm Yash, you're watching the Cornea impression, and let's find out. Now, if you've owned Volkswagens in the past, which I fortunately have, you'd remember that the cabin design was always very functional and very straight to the point kind of design. Everything worked, everything was very ergonomic. But having flair is not something how I would describe the cabins of the previous generation Volkswagens. However, this seems to carry a whole lot of flair. It seems like there's been an influx of young designers in Volkswagen's design department, and they took over the entire interior design of the new Tiguan. And with this, now Volkswagen won't have to worry about how the cabin of their new Tiguan compares when it comes to the competitors in the jazzy cabin experiences department.
You now get backlit panels not just on the dashboard but on the door trims too. The gearbox is now on the steering column to free up more space on the center console. The pedals aren't just there as a tool of operation but looks good as well.
But the biggest change comes with respect to this. In terms of size, I call it a mini TV or a laptop screen, but Volkswagen calls it its latest infotainment system. It's a 15-inch unit, and like most other modern cars, it controls almost every other feature found on the new Tiguan. In terms of usability, it gets very sharp graphics, very legible fonts, and a very easy to use interface. It's fairly snappy, and in terms of customization, there is plenty to do. The other features you can control through this infotainment screen are the seat ventilation, the seat massage settings, the 360-degree camera, the driver assistance systems, the ambient lighting systems, the inbuilt navigation. Very easy to use and very easy to go about it. And the other screen that you get on the new Volkswagen Tiguan is this, a 10-inch digital instrument cluster. And like every other typical Volkswagens of the past, you can have multiple customizations on the speedometer cluster, and you can have the all-important expanded map view on your speedometer cluster. So even though it doesn't get one of those fancy augmented reality navigation setups, pair this with the navigation prompts on your heads-up display and the massive 15-inch screen, which also show you those navigation prompts, and you have to be an absolute idiot to miss turns even after that.
Speaking of typical other Volkswagens, build quality has always been VW's strong point, and even here the tradition continues. Almost every touchpoint feels solid and premium. Hard plastics are only found on the lower half of the cabin. The switchgear is great. The steering wheel is nice to hold and leather wrapped.
In terms of space and practicality, the new Volkswagen Tiguan ranks supreme. On the doors, it gets these massive compartments to hold 1-liter bottles and more. Right below the steering wheel, you get this another small compartment to hold your penny change or for the knickknacks. And then on the center console, you get this double-decker storage space, and when you lift up, you get 2 wireless charging pads with 2 Type-C ports. You get more storage in terms of portable cup holders, which can be removed entirely. And then if you want even more storage, you can lift up this armrest for that and put it back, and also have like an adjustable armrest. When it comes to the rear seats, as you can see, it is pretty spacious and very modular as well. and it is a fairly wide bench, so up to 3 people can sit with proper comfort. However, the transmission tunnel will definitely come in the way of the middle passenger, though he or she will have straight access to these aircon vents and this tri-zone climate control screen, as well as 2 Type-C charging ports. However, if you can manage to throw the middle passenger away, you can have 2 very comfortable seats, and you can bring down this armrest which has this extra engineered cup holders.
When you pop open the electric tailgate, the new Tiguan boasts over 650 liters of boot space. And to demonstrate how much equipment it can carry, I loaded up our entire lighting equipment, which it accommodated very easily. To create more space, one can even slide the rear seats forward. And to stuff longer items, you get levers on either side, which instantly fold the rear seats in a 60-40 split to offer over 1000 liters of storage capacity. And now the Tiguan bit, which is how the car drives.
In the past, the Tiguan enjoys a reputation of being a solid family car, which was great for commuting between roundabouts and a refined highway cruiser. Does the new one fare similarly as well? I'll say yes, because the new one is a very easy car to drive and offers superb visibility thanks to large glass areas around the car for the driver, very thin A-pillars and big side view mirrors. Even the seating position is also great and offers multiple adjustments. And the new car, the new Tiguan, also offers a slew of cameras and sensors. So placing this car or maneuvering this car around tight spots or city traffic is actually a breeze. On the highways, the Tiguan feels very refined, almost like it's in its element. It almost feels like it was designed to ace this very aspect of driving, which is highway cruising. Part of it also comes down to the fact that this gets the optional dynamic chassis control setup, which basically electronically adjusts the dampers depending on what kind of drive mode you're on. Now, like all other cars, this gets the regular drive modes, that is the comfort, the eco and the sport. But on the new Tiguan, you get this individual mode where you can spec these damper settings to go even softer than what is pre-programmed on the comfort mode. So you basically get that soft, wafty feeling if you're traveling on city roads or even highway cruising. Now, if you're in the enthusiastic driving kind of a mode, you can also spec the damper settings on the absolute other side of that spectrum to have it super stiff. So you can basically throw the car around while the dampers keep the car fairly flat with very minimal body roll. And this being a 2025 car, you get a host of driver assistance systems such as lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, and the lot. But what you really should experience on the new Tiguan is the travel assist, which is basically new on the Tiguan. And what it does is basically read road signs as well. So the car can automatically slow down depending on what is the legal speed limit. And it can even take mild turns and bends and maybe even go through roundabouts at very low speeds. So the car can practically drive itself even through bends without much human intervention.
So now you know how the Tiguan drives. But what all comes with the R-Line moniker?
So with the 2025 Tiguan R-Line, you get something called an R-Line styling pack, which essentially means you get a sporty, aggressive-looking front and rear bumpers, R-Line special spoiler, some color-matched side skirts, and wheel options which go up to 20 inches with some really sporty wheel designs. But overall, is the new Tiguan a good-looking car? I'll say it's very conservative, yet there's more to it than meets the eye kind of vibe to it. And there is. For example, the headlights can be optioned with matrix LED headlights. There's a light bar that now runs across the width of the front of the car. The air dam is larger and there are proper functional air vents on either sides of the bumper. So there's more function than form to it. And if you spec the car in this R-Line trim, it gets a more blacked out, more sporty bumper. If you opt for the elegance middle spectrum, you get chrome lines running across the width of the front bumper. And there's a separate bumper for the base trim as well. So a fair bit of personalization on offer as well. But overall, it does not seem like the straight-faced geography teacher like it used to before. It looks more rounded, more youthful, more fun-loving, like somebody who would maybe think or even agree to the idea of going out on parties instead of saying a straight no, like how the previous editions would.
Even on the sides, it's more flowy than straight lines with sharp cuts and edges. There are a lot more rim design options to suit multiple types of personalities, with sizes ranging between 17 to 20 inches. It has a proper haunch on the rear half, that which it seems to have derived from its more luxurious cousins from the VW group. But the highlight of the new Tiguan's design is
this blacked out connected bar tail light design. I mean, it makes the car look a lot more premium and a lot more luxurious and a lot more expensive than it actually is. I'd say if you hide the badge, the new Tiguan might easily also pass off as one of the cars from Volkswagen's more luxurious branded cousins. And when it comes to the aggressive looking rear bumper, I have a hunch they even styled it to have quad exhausts and even something like aggressive diffuser below, but maybe deleted it at the very last second because they remembered that this is the R-Line and not the full-blown R. Now, when we come on to the customization bit, there is a fair amount of optional extras that you can put on the Volkswagen Tiguan. Volkswagen is now offering as many as 12 optional extra creature comfort packages. What in a sense it means that you can actually have your base car and spec all these optional extra creature comfort packages, and the stuff that is on offer ranges from everything such as ambient lighting, keyless entry, to more important stuff like 15-inch infotainment system, adaptive cruise control, dynamic chassis control. There's just a whole lot of options to choose extra, even if you get the top spec R-Line trim such as this.
But if the Tiguan R-Line isn't a full-blown R, does that mean you won't get any driving thrills from it?
Allow me to explain. Now, the new Tiguan gets offered in two engine options, a 1.4-litre TSI producing about 150 horsepower and a 2-litre TSI which offers about 200 horsepower and 320 Newton meters of torque paired to a 7-speed DCT gearbox. This being the R-Line obviously gets the 2-litre engine option, and it's the same powertrain combo that you also get in the Indian markets as well. So is it any good for the enthusiasts? I'll say there are bits that enthusiasts will like a lot, such as the steering wheel itself, which is a very good size and feels really good to hold. And then there's the paddle shifters, which surprisingly feel very tactile. I actually ended up using it a lot more than I originally thought I would. The engine, it gets a very linear, very progressive, very gradual power delivery, so you won't get that unexpected bursts of torque like how you would usually expect in a turbocharged car. But that also makes this car kind of predictable to throw around, so you know what kind of power delivery you will get. The brakes are fairly good as well and do a very good job at stopping the car. And another thing that deserves mention is the dynamic chassis control, which you can have the dampers set in a super stiff setting that makes, or rather keeps, the car fairly flat when you're throwing around corners and tackling bends. And that is something enthusiasts will like a lot. And then there are bits that enthusiasts might not like a lot. For instance, the steering feel. Yes, it is very light at city speeds, but when you pick up the pace, it doesn't weigh up as much as I would have wanted. It's not dead or it's not lifeless like how other car manufacturers also offer in this segment, but I would have liked to have it to be a bit more weighted when you're pushing this car and picking up pace. The engine feels a bit low on power, or at least that's what I feel on UAE roads. So you kind of have to plan your overtakes when you're doing that. Faint amount of engine drone noise that kind of creeps into the cabin, which you may not enjoy after a long drive or during long drives. But it is extremely happy when you dial everything down. When you keep the revs low, gears high, put the car on comfort mode and just cruise. That is where the speciality of the new Tiguan lies in. Prices for the new Tiguan starts at around 118,000 dirhams, and if you go up the trim ladder, it continues to go up as well. And on top of that is the whole extravaganza of those optional feature packs, about 12 of those. And if you keep speccing all of that, the price could easily breach the 150,000 mark. Now, if you're someone who doesn't want to compromise on build quality, doesn't want to compromise on reliability, always wants something that is a very well-known badge, and don't mind spending that extra premium to get all of that, then you should definitely check out the new Volkswagen Tiguan. Thank you for watching the Cornea impression. Make sure you like the video and share it with any of your friends or family members that is out in the market looking to buy a premium SUV. And I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'll go back on some effortless cruising.